Alright, hello, and welcome back to my car. It is actually the day after Christmas, and I'm heading to work, which means that this video, since I'm trying to keep a new timeline, a real timeline, is actually going to go up before I post any of the videos that I've ever made before. Which sounds freaking ridiculous now that I think about it, but there's so much content in them that I either have to delete them all and start over and, whatnot, or post them incrementally and not say a damn thing for a few weeks. So yeah, there's that option too. So, yeah, I'll probably have to do that, to be honest. But maybe not. We'll see. So, yeah, I have been working on a little bit of gameplay. Played a little bit of The Sims last night, and that's annoying. I'm just gonna do it as I need. So I played a little bit of Sims last night, Sims 4, and this morning made a couple videos for KSP, Kerbal Space Program. And, I added a bunch of mods. See, I can't help myself. When I see that a lot of favorite old mods, even though I decided that I wasn't going to add anymore, have been set up to work in the new version of Kerbal Space Program, I had to install them and try them. It had to be done. No buts about it. So, in Kerbal Space Program, what I've added were a little bit more functionality. I just have to run for it now. What I added was a little bit more functionality to the game. Actually, I can't say that. I've actually already added the ability to do this. I have a mod that adds in the ability to build bases, to build rockets and other stuff. Stock. But I also have a mod, extraplanetary launch pads, which adds a little more to it. And then I went and added MKS, which is, a colonization system, which adds a lot more functionality to that. And, it just got interesting after that, because then I found more mods that work with them, like tag life support and, asteroid mining and all that stuff. So I might have gotten a little nuts with it, but it's going to be interesting. Now, the two videos that I made, one of them was longer than it needed to be. Well, maybe both of them, but whatever. But one of them was longer than it probably should have been. But in the video, I built and tested 2 SSTO aircraft, single stage to orbit. The problem that I had with these jets was that they would flip out of control. Well, I digress. One of them flipped out of control. The other one maintained control for the most part. The first one. But the second one took less than half the time to get into space. The problem was I never had enough fuel to get it into orbit after that. So right now, unless I use a lot of science points to go into research in supersonic jets and that kind of stuff, I won't be doing SSTOs anytime soon. Even though they are more efficient at getting things into orbit. Oh yeah, I really need new windshield wipers. I should ask for that for Christmas. And brakes and tires. This car just needs stuff. It needs things. So anyway, you know, that's kind of a thing though now, is that SSTOs are more efficient when it comes to getting into space than rockets. But rockets are more efficient at lifting heavy payloads. So I'm kind of at a crossroads. I want to put a station in orbit around the moon and Minmus in Kerbal Space Program. But I want SSTO technology. Well, I want better SSTOs. I can make them, it's just they're not good. You know, the engines aren't strong enough, they use too much fuel, whatever the reason is. Like, I'm using the first afterburning engine that you get to get them in the air, and it takes 4 to barely get these monstrosities of boats that I've created. Believe me, they turn like a boat, and they fall like one too. So, it's not going so easy on the, you know, construction aspect and design of these things. But the good news is, I've made a few that work and actually go up in the air. The bad news is they don't stay that way. I'm going way too fast and the road is way too wet to slow down at that yellow light. So anyway, what was I going to say? So yeah, I'm going to be adding some colonization stuff to the game. You know, we'll have to have life support and whatnot on the station. In fact, there's a good chance that I might actually want to start a new game just to, you know, make sure that there's not a lot of things that I'm missing because of adding the mods. But yeah, in the second video that I did this morning, I sent, which was immediately afterwards, I sent Bill and Jeb in a moonlander, Apollo-style mission to the moon that didn't land. Instead, I had enough fuel to safely get them to the moon. Well, I mean, I probably had enough fuel to do what I needed to do, but I didn't use it wisely, and, you know, not everything's as efficient yet. But I got them into a flyby, you know, high orbit flyby of the moon, and they brought back, like, you know, 300 some, almost 277 something science. Yeah, that's a lot of science. So they brought back a lot of science just by doing a flyby. Now I want to do a low moon flyby before I actually attempt the landing. So I'm going to have to build a new rocket. I'm going to build a new rocket that doesn't have the big lander with all that stuff on it. I mean, it's not that big, but it's still, you know, the lander took up a bit of space. And weight, of course. So I gotta find a way to make it more efficient, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Now, the funny thing here, I want to create, I want to scoot off from this conversation. I'm gonna go back to The Sims here. I want to make a sim a new character just to play off camera and see if they ever meet. I'm not going to purposely try to get them to meet each other. In fact, he'll be in a completely different town probably, but I'm going to create a different character just to see if they end up eventually meeting and making friends. And I'll try to put them in a completely different town even, just to see if that's a doable thing. If it's not a doable thing, I'll create the character, I'll move him to the town that Kane is in right now. Yeah. I just realized, if I delete all my other recordings, which I probably shouldn't, but if I did, you would have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of Kerbal Space Program. I mean, if you do know Kerbal Space Program, that's good, good for you, but if not, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. It's a game that lets you run your own space program, as I'm sure you've already figured out by now. Kerbin, the planet that you're on, Kerbals, the little green guys that you're controlling. So Kerbin is about a third the mass and size of Earth, or it's about a third of the size of Earth. And it has 2 moons. The solar system's different because it's a game. And it's pretty much one of the more realistic games in terms of running a space agency and in terms of their orbital mechanics build. Now that that's out of the way, I will be posting the videos regardless that I've made already. I mean, I probably should, because I don't think I want to go and re-explain how rockets launch and all that stuff again. No, not at all. God, no. Why? Why would I want to do that, right? Yeah. Problem is now I think I have to go back through and find the videos and put them back in order. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might not be a good idea. It might be a very bad idea to go through and try to find them all in order and redo them. But I'll flip-flop on that a few times and maybe watch a few of the videos tonight and make up my mind later. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see, can you? There we go. Alright. See, I have no problem looking out the window when it's a little bit covered, but it does make it quite blurry for that camera as close as it is. But anyway, so yeah, Christmas was good. Last night, like I said, I played The Sims for a little bit. My Sim right now has a job, and he actually got a promotion recently, and he probably will get another one when I go back into the game, but I've been working on his house a little bit too. And that's it. That's really it, honestly. Really not much more going on there. So my Sim is, pretty well off. I mean, I started with, I didn't do the here's a house, you get a little bit of money kind of thing. I did which I probably should have done, but I did the whole I want to build it myself and furnish it myself thing, which I might have gone overboard because I could have had a lot more money than I would have had before left over, but I went overboard on adding stuff. The good news is, in Sims 4, they get a serious bonus, as far as I'm concerned, from having everything having really nice stuff in their house and having their house set up really nicely. So in terms of design, I think I made the right choice in going with a really fancy kind of look to it, even though a lot of it was really cheap. Like, I didn't skimp out on carpet and tile for the most part, and you know, and wallpaper and all this other stuff. But when it came to everything else, I skimped out. Oh boy, did I skimp out on that stuff. I mean, we're talking cheap on, you know, a lot of that stuff. In some cases, furniture. In some cases, appliances. Especially with appliances. Oh, good. I don't want to get stuck by that box truck, so I'll go this way today. So yeah, I skipped out on some things. You know, things break. Not that often, actually. It doesn't really break that often, but I actually did have one thing break finally. It was the radio. After letting it run several days at a time. A few days, actually. So, there is that. Gosh, what else has been going on? There's not much been going on, honestly. I mean, last night after I played The Sims, I kicked back with the PlayStation 4 and played Lego Dimensions with my little brother. You know, he got a character. I mean, it's my game, and all the Legos are generally mine, but he got a Lego Dimensions character for Christmas, and it was one of the characters from the Lego series Ninjago, which I guess there was an anime or a cartoon of it. But the character are kind of, you know, it's about ninjas. I'm sure you figured that out already. But the character that he got was actually I can't remember their name. It was a samurai. And for the vehicle that they came with in the set, it was like a large mech, samurai mech, which I thought was freaking cool. And it actually plays pretty well. But you know, we played that for about an hour or so before I realized that it was after midnight and I got to get up in the morning. Not too big of a rush because I didn't have to go to work until I don't have to be at work until 12:15, but I leave my house an hour early to get there. So as you can imagine, it was kind of a bit of a I kind of need to cut this off early thing. I think they sell windshield wipers everywhere. Yeah, I actually, I had a lot of fun with that. We went in, since he had the Ninjago character, we went into that world, and it was actually pretty cool. We did a lot in a short time because of the characters that I've amassed for that game already. I mean, I might be, in my late 20s here, but honestly, I played with Legos when I was a kid, and I still have them in a box somewhere, but in a big box somewhere, but, the minute they come out with a game about Legos, it was a bad thing. Very bad, because when I bought it, I was like, oh, look, there's more. I need to buy them. And now, they have Legos for Harry Potter. And I am trying so hard not to use my paycheck to buy them. God, am I trying hard on that one. Every time I go into Target, it's like, I want to buy this, but I don't work here and get a discount. Otherwise, I would. But the minute it goes on sale or that there's a thing on Cartwheel for me to get a discount, there's probably going to be all bets off on that one. If you haven't tried LEGO Dimensions and you have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, and I think it might work on PS3 and Xbox 360. I could be wrong about that, honestly. I'm sorry if I am. But, you know, if you have those game consoles, you ought to just get it. And enjoy it, because you will enjoy it. There's a little bit of platforming and puzzle solving involved. So if you don't like that, don't get it. But the storyline is great. Absolutely hilarious. So, yeah, there's that. Also, I got this really cool mug for Christmas that has game controller handles on the sides and says game over in the bottom once you're done with whatever you're drinking. That was funny. That was cool. Got some really nice things for my girlfriend. And, you know, new Christmas ornament. I think we've started a thing where every year she's been getting me a new Christmas ornament. And they're different styles of steins. For those of you who don't know what a stein is, it's a mug. It's a beer. Well, it's a large mug with a lid and a little handle, like a little thing that you press down to raise the lid up so that you can drink. They're really ornate and well decorated usually. So, I love it. I think it's fantastic. Not sure how today's going to go though, because the last few days it has not rained at all. And then all of a sudden, the day after Christmas, bam, it went right back to raining. And it's in the high 50s. It's like 55. It's supposed to fluctuate between 55 and 59 today. We'll see, because when it rains, you know, you get that cold front that the rain brings in with it. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. But I may have to get some coffee. Or behave and not get coffee at all. I'm debating coffee or not. So, really not much else to talk about though. Day after Christmas, you know, not much left to say. A little bit of update there on what I'm planning on doing. I will figure out. I'm going to make a video on the way home tonight. And depending on the content of that video, I may or may not ever post the other stuff. But honestly, I really don't feel like re-explaining how rockets go into orbit. So there's that. Yeah. Well, seeing as I'm getting closer and closer to work, really not much left to talk about or anything. And I really don't want to reach for my phone to, cut the recording. I'll just have to ramble for the next several minutes. It really is a nice drive, though. The area that I drive through in a second here. So, yeah. In Kerbal Space Program, I am planning on getting to a point where, you know, I have some kind of airships. Like, I have airships. I just my runway, my hangar, all that stuff isn't set up to handle the size of them because they're too long. But I'm going to build some airships to be able to launch aircraft from. You know, or even carry rockets to a high altitude and then launch them as a second stage instead of as a first. Launch them from the rocket from the second stage. Either that or go the distance and mount a rocket on top of a Zeppelin and then do a full shuttle launch or rocket launch. The only other option is to get an SSTO on the top of that sucker and carry it up into a high altitude of about 10,000. Just off the airship alone, maybe use some electric motors to carry it up there and do a high altitude launch from a carrier deck, because I can do that with the airships. Actually, that would be kind of cool to pull off. The other thing I want to do is aircraft carriers and other stuff. I want to build some bases or buy some bases and launch a satellite that can, scan the surface for resources. It might be better if I just started a new game and dealt with everything that I could do on Kerbin before anything else, to be honest. Hate to say it that way, but it's probably what I'm going to have to do. And I might give myself another chance at using the engineering, or give the engineering tech tree mod another chance at me, but we'll see. That's stuff that I'll determine later. I might just make a new save and go from there and see what happens. There's a little bit of cars out today, huh? Yes, there it is. Alrighty. Well, I suppose since there's nothing much left to say, I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm going to scoot over here a little bit. And hang back for a second. And we'll cut it here. Before I go, since I am getting closer to work, before I go, I also want to mention I'm doing a Watch Dogs, not 2, the first one. I want to get 2, but money. But I'm doing a Watch Dogs Let's Play through and a new Skyrim Special Edition that's heavily modded. And I think I was doing a Fallout 4, but I don't know why I stopped it. Just work and everything got in the way, and you know how it goes. But yeah, we're gonna cut it here for now once I get to this red light up here, and we'll say bye for now.